Look for what's looking. Are there any alternate instructions on how to do this? I get frustrated at times, like during today's daily meditation, when I sit for 10 minutes not really understanding what's being asked. What a fun question. What we're trying to accomplish here is an insight into the selfless nature of consciousness. That's a transition from how it usually feels like to be us. Usually there's a sense of separation from objects in our experience, and usually we feel limited in our body, behind our eyes and our head, and we feel like we have to effort to make decisions about how things will unfold. But what we learn in meditation is that there's an alternative way of being in the world, where things are much more effortless and there isn't this sense of separation. There's a much more harmonious way of being with what is, or being as our conscious experience, rather than a separated piece within our conscious experience. If you haven't watched my video, which is titled something like Serious Frustration with Looking for the Looker Instruction, I really recommend you, if you do, because that will provide a lot of the context which will soothe the frustration and really support our understanding and what's being asked of us here. There is many different methods and instructions for having the same transitional realization in our being. And today, rather than focusing on those explanations and other words, because they all really do support us in this practice, I thought I would just mainly focus on giving us another method. There are two really prevailing or predominant pathways to access this insight of experience. One is worded with more volition or action, and those are the instructions which are akin to looking for the looker. The other access way we have of trying to glean this insight is a lot more about being or relaxing effortlessly. So here's a second method of noticing that selfless nature of consciousness, or looking for the looker. But we don't have to. This one's much easier, much more simpler. This is my preferred method. I think it's more sustainable in the long run too, and is sort of less complicated, because looking for the looker has some inherent confusions with what's implied by that wording. First of all, you would want to find a space of meditative stillness. So you would, find whatever posture is good for you. You could do eyes closed, you could do eyes open. If you're sitting, you probably want to be sort of straight, but you can do this lying down, and your body's relaxed and you're becoming still. And now you're just resting in stillness. Resting and being, which is all very easy to do. You don't need to worry about whether you're doing that. You're already doing that. But the stillness is really going to help you here. And now you can leave your awareness wide open, and you can relinquish all effort to try and discover anything. Just let your mind relax, be open, relax yourself, and just sit and be. There's potentially still someone in our experience wondering how this is supposed to reveal anything. But the insight we can have when we relax like this is that from our stillness, we can notice any effort or conceptualizing, trying to realize something. That is just an experience of more thought. It's just thinking, trying to figure it out. And if we, for a moment, just let that go, and our thoughts will probably come back in the next moment, or we'll get distracted by something. And that's okay. We just non-judgmentally rest in stillness presence, open awareness, very relaxed, very easy, it becomes very apparent that all effort is just more thought. Looking for the looker is just more thought. But right now, we're being. We are an unfolding experience. And that keeps on unfolding spontaneously, all on its own, regardless of concepts, regardless of whether we feel like we're enacting or not acting. We're still here. If you do nothing, if for a moment you give up the search and you give up all effort, but don't block or tune out, everything is still here. The world out there, sounds, it's simply still occurring all on its own. And the illusion of the self is that we can't normally distinguish this nature of things in our own thoughts. We normally feel identified to our thoughts as though we're the ones thinking them. But if we develop the understanding that everything is always this expression of our own consciousness, it might be an external physical reality, but as a matter of experience, everything is just our unfolding consciousness spontaneously. We can develop that as our primary relationship to the world and realize that the nature of spontaneity and effortlessness applies not only to audible sounds, which just occur on their own, visual sights and sensations, which just occur on their own, bodily sensations, which occur on their own, but also to the nature of our thoughts. If we're sensitive, when we rest and do nothing, when we actually do nothing, this is true of our thoughts. They spontaneously occur without the attachment of us feeling like we're the ones thinking them up. That's all the illusion of effort and control, trying to figure it out, being identified with a thought, directing it in a way. Just relax. Actually do nothing. Become sensitive enough to realize this is the nature of things. And that's the area to explore as an alternative to trying to look for the one who's looking and then realize this way of being. You can also just more directly understand conceptually consciousness is already free of the self. There is nothing to do other than stop being lost in the thought of trying to figure it out, or stop being in the habit of diffusion and noticing nothing else. Relax, be, and everything is still here. Don't block, just be. And you can give that a few goes and refine it, and you'll develop more of an understanding or a stronger sense of awareness to when you're distracted, when you're diffused. And then there's this glorious space to open up there in which being or existing as experience, as the expression of consciousness, that'll become your realization into your higher self or the deeper truth of who you are. But that's the other area you can explore. I'd like to dedicate this small little talk for a developing sense of clarity in our conversations about peace and well-being. Oh my goodness, could this world be wonderful if we overcome our obstacles of ego and speak abundantly and peacefully. That's a dream. Best wish, my friend. I hope something here helps you. This practice seems ambiguous, but maybe if you have a few attempts at it, the experiential understanding you will develop in a way that you can start relinquishing that conceptual trying to working out of it, because that does ultimately need to be let go in this practice. You should be able to get clear answers to every question you have, but then the actual practice has nothing to do with concepts. It's much more about experience and being. May we all come to know such wonderful ways of being.
If Sonam has helped you, please consider supporting for the benefit of others. Establishing a base engagement is the biggest hurdle for new ideas.